Hello and welcome to my channel. It's been 2 weeks now since I posted the last time, and it's because life, you know. I'm a new mother still. Well, I have a soon to be 7-month-old, and it's a full-time job, especially when they start to crawl and explore more and stand up and try to walk and fall down, and yeah. So we'll see how far I come before I have to go and get him. He's over there playing right now. Okay, maybe now. I'm back. So anyway, today I thought I would talk a little bit about the storms of life. So I'm gonna start and read from the Bible. I'm starting off by reading in Matthew chapter 14 from verse 23. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now when evening came, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It's a ghost," and they cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I, do not be afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you on the water." So he said, "Come." And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, and he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. Then those who were in the boat came and worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." So the next place I'm going to read from is Mark chapter 4, verse 35 and forward. On the same day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." Now when they had left the multitude, they took him along in the boat as he was, and other little boats were also with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that it was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on a pillow. And they awoke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" Then he arose and rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. But he said to them, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith?" And they feared exceedingly, and said to one another, "Who can this be, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" So what I'm talking about today is the storms of life. If you've been living life for a while, well, actually past like the first minute of life, you know that there are storms. As a baby, it might be stomach aches and teething and all kinds of things. And when you grow older, you know, the storms, they change and they turn into sickness and regrets and shame and things we do intentionally or not intentionally, unintentionally, that makes us question life and question why we are here and why God allowed this to happen to us. What I'm really passionate about is, you know, to look to the other side. I mean, storms, they will come. It's a promise, you know. Nowhere in the Bible does it ever say that life is going to be perfect if you just do A, B, and C. If you follow Jesus, or if you know, pray every day or fast every day, you know. It's always going to be storms. It's always going to be seasons in life. Like Ecclesiastes says that, you know, there's a time for everything. A time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to love, a time to hate. There's a time for everything. Actually, I'm gonna read that too. Why not? Let's go. Let's read some Bible today. Okay, so let's see here. I'm reading from Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 and forward for a while. To everything there is a season, a time for which purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Through life, we're going to face storms. But through it all, Jesus will be there with us. If we allow him into our lives, we have nothing to fear. There's a song, at least in Swedish, it's probably some English version too, but I can only think of the Swedish version right now. But it basically says that with Jesus in the boat, I can smile in the middle of the storm. And that's true. It's hard, but it's true. When we go through storms, we will get some bruises. We will get some scars. We might even get a heartbreak. We might, go through deep, deep sorrow. And it isn't easy to go through a storm in life. It isn't easy to stand back up after a storm. When we look at nature, when a storm comes, like a real big, like tornado, a real storm comes, it brings disaster, it brings disruption. Trees fall down, things get destroyed. After a storm, there's peace, but there's also chaos because the storm did something. The storm shook the entirety of the area where the storm was. And it's the same thing in life, that we go through a storm, and sometimes the only thing we can do is to hold on to Jesus, to hold on as tight as we possibly can. And that might look like, every moment when you wake up and you don't even want to get out of bed, you just whisper Jesus, and you read the word, and you just, each and every breath you take it for Jesus, because you might think that there's just nothing else. There's just nothing else to do. And after a storm, you might have some bruises, some bruising. You might have some scars. You might even have a broken heart if it's a relationship storm that you're going through and it didn't end well. You might have a broken heart. But through it all, Jesus is there, and he's going to make something even better come out of the storm. After the storm, things change. God makes everything new. But he's making something beautiful out of the ashes. He's making something absolutely wonderful. Even if it's really hard to see it right now. Okay, I'm gonna go. So when the storm comes, we really need to lean on Jesus. We always need to lean on Jesus. But when it's hard, it's extra important. And we can't... Vad gör du, bebis? What are you doing? This is hard to film with the baby. Oh. Well, there's some laughter. Talking about something serious. That's another thing. When you go through a storm, you just need to have gratitude for the small things. You have to be thankful and really focus on what's good in your life. It may seem like everything's just falling apart, but there's always something that you can be grateful for. Even if it's just, that the fact that you have breath in your lungs, you have water to drink. You maybe have food to eat, hopefully. You know, there's always some little thing that you can be grateful for. Isn't that right? I'm really happy that you watched this video today. Hopefully it gave you something, some encouragement. And I will see you in the next video. Remember to read your Bible. It's food for the soul, food for your spirit. And it's the most important thing you can do today. So thank you again. Bye bye.